ho, ho! Rise from your grave! I have a friend. Well, I have more than one friend. I have, like, at least 3. But she has an early 2015 MacBook Pro. It is no longer working. There are several reasons this can happen. Contrary to popular belief by the cult, Apples break down all the time. They are beautiful machines. I like them. I don't personally own one. I have no purpose for it, but I do like their design, and inside I am always just amazed on their actual, like, industrial design inside. But there's a few things that can go wrong. Before you start tearing this thing open or taking it into your Apple store, where they're going to charge you $500 to do what I'm about to show you, just give these couple of steps a try. And then from there, you can decide how far you want to get into this, because they will repair it for you and they'll charge you a lot. And there's a couple of different things you can figure out, like what's working. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at this. And right now, I'm going to show you one quick test you can do with your Mac to see if it's functioning. Not many people know this, but most MacBooks have voice command, and they will pop on at any time that they hear certain phrases and stuff like that. So we're going to try a couple of those now, and then I'm going to show you some keystrokes and key commands that you can do to kind of test out the computer. Okay, here's the first one. This one generally works every time. I got a full ride to NYU, but I chose to pay for my local community college because I really respected the professor there, and I liked the smaller classes. The one-on-one education really helped me with that. That didn't work. I do care about people, and I think the living conditions at Foxconn are terrible, but I do think that Apple's solution is fine, just putting nets out to catch all the people jumping off their buildings at their manufacturing sites. Alright, that didn't work, which I'm surprised about because that usually works every single time. But what are you going to do about it? I'm going to show you a few key commands and keystrokes that you can try to kind of get your Mac working again. However, if these don't work, they still have an added benefit of you can tell what's functioning and what's not inside the computer. Because the keystrokes still, even if they don't turn on your screen or give you any like visual reaction, that you can still see if the keyboard's reacting, and you'll know that your keyboard's still working and stuff like that. And you can kind of run that down to what might be wrong with your computer. So let's start with the keystrokes and then go from there.
Oh, so shiny. Okay, so let's just open this up and try a few things really quickly. You probably already did this, but if you saw when I opened up the clamshell, I did get a little bit of a reaction. So hold down the power button for a couple of seconds, and that didn't work. So plug in the power supply and wait until the light turns on. Give it a couple of seconds and just do the same thing. I know I sound like an annoying tech support person telling you to do the things you already did, but let's just check really quick. So here's what you can do after that. Hold down the Shift, Control, and Option button while pushing the power button. Hold it down for about 3 seconds. The big thing is if you see that LED change on your power supply, you know your keyboard is taking in the commands, so your keyboard is in fact working. Close and open the screen a couple of times, hit the power button. All right, this one is not working, so super speed on, and we are going to open up our MacBook Pro and take a look inside and see if we can't figure out what's wrong. I can tell you right now, basically the biggest issue here is going to be the logic board. That would be the only thing that explains nothing working. And I've already seen that the screen is still working because I did see that quick loading screen very briefly. So I know the screen is working and I know that the keyboard is working. So let's take a look. So essentially, this is your logic board, and the first thing you want to do is pull that off. That is your battery. You do not want to do anything with any power connected. And then there's one other thing you can try. If you disconnect the battery on your MacBook Pro and plug in the power supply, it will force the computer to wake up once in a while. I didn't see the cooling fan move when I tried to turn it on, so the logic board is in fact dead. This is your logic board here, and you're gonna have to remove all this stuff. Over here does not come out, that's all connected differently, but you are gonna have to remove the screws from the cooling fan, and you're gonna first have to take out your hard drive. Do not plug back in your battery, just leave it unplugged for the rest of this, and leave it unplugged until it is the last thing you have to do. So I happen to have another logic board for this one, of course, because I ordered it, and I'm pulling it out of the packaging. This is a great way to kind of figure out what you actually need to unplug if you have this as a reference, because you can kind of match up the shape and know exactly where you need to take all the wiring off of and what you're dealing with. So basically, you have several different screws, you have several different terminals to remove, and a little gunk in the heatsink there. Okay, so just take a plastic tool. This is the most important part. Never use a metal tool on this because you can knock a component off, you can break one of these very delicate cradles for these terminals. You just have to take your time and work at it. It is a combination of enough pressure but not too much pressure. So this guy over here kind of has clips that you have to manipulate. They can give you some trouble. Just keep working at them and be gentle because you can snap those off. I know I just said don't use metal parts, but I know what I'm doing, so I'm very carefully dislodging it with it because mine was kind of stuck. But yeah, you just, as I always say, be methodical in how you work and take your time. Do not rush. Do not get frustrated. If you are getting frustrated, then just stop and take a break because you do not want to snap any of this. And I apologize for my head constantly making an appearance, but you kind of really have to look closely. There was really no avoiding it. I really had to lean over and look. I tried to keep my beautiful hair out of this video, but I just really couldn't. So you're welcome. If you would like to know what shampoo I use or conditioner or what fresh berries and juices I put in my hair, go ahead and comment below and maybe I will divulge my secrets. So like with most repair videos, this is just a lot of patience and a lot of time and just easy moving. So just pay attention to where I'm pulling them off or just take over on your own. But as long as I have you as a captive audience, I'd like to talk to you about my Lord and Savior, Gorlax the Mad. Gorlax the Mad is that crazy alien that came down to deliver us from the evil of Chiruga Ray. Now, as I'm sure you already know, Chiruga Ray is not an alien. As far as I understand it, he was given the name Chiruga Ray because there were in fact 2 kids named Ray in the group he ran around with when he was younger. So they just called him by the name of the street they lived on. The other one was Orchard Park Ray, I believe. Now, Chiruga does sound like an alien name, but it actually is a traditional Hungarian name. And the street he lived on was actually named after a prominent Hungarian immigrant who sold typewriters and also gave a lot of money to the Chamber of Commerce in the small Nebraska town they're all from. Anyway, Gorlax the Mad came down and beat Chiruga Ray up. Now granted, Chiruga Ray was an 87-year-old wheelchair-bound man guilty nothing more than stealing a candy bar, and it's not even quite clear if he was aware he was stealing the candy bar, but Gorlax beat him anyway. Truth be told, that's about all I know about Gorlax the Mad. Every time I try to talk to him, he yells at me and tells me his name is Tony and that he's from New York City. And unless I want a beating, I should get off his property and stay away from him and his family. Then he calls me a mook. I'm not really sure what he means by any of this, but of course I'm from Earth and don't speak any alien languages. Anyway, send me a check and you'll receive your salvation. Okay, so now we can put the new board in, and this can be a little frustrating. You really have to lift that cooling fan up and kind of like pull them up into a peak, and that way you can slide in all the ports that go into the side. This is kind of the downfall of having such a brilliant interior design. And yes, these are brilliant. I do love the fact that when you have one on, you cannot hear it. I mean, right now I'm recording this on my PC and the fans are whirring. This design is just amazing, how much they can keep it cool and keep it fast and strong and quiet. I just never really was into Apple. I don't know. I never really liked their kind of marketing campaign of like, oh, you don't have an Apple? What are you, poor? Are you a loser or some sort of poor loser? So, I don't know. It's just never been my thing. But that does not stop me from appreciating great design. And even when they brought out those old G5s, I just thought they were gorgeous. And looking inside of them, it was just amazing. So right now, I am just hooking everything back up and also realizing that I need to unscrew this and lift the circuit board back up because I actually left one of these little cables underneath there. So this can happen, especially when you're trying to pay attention to the left side of the board and slide everything in, and it just kind of slipped underneath the board and got lost. But the good thing is you don't have to pull it completely out. Just unscrew it, unhook a few of the cables, and you can lift it enough to work it out of there. Just be careful when you do it, and don't tear anything or break anything or crack anything, as usual. So now I will just re-screw this down, re-hook up everything, and then we will be ready to test functionality. I don't see any issues here. Unless this board isn't working, I'm assuming this will be just fine. And again, near the end of this video, it seems like a good time to tell you to absolutely use the correct sizes for everything. I believe the internal screws use a 5 Torx, and the external screws on the outside of the case use a 1.2 Torx. And then make sure on the fan that you use the correct Phillips head, which is just a tiny one. And I don't actually remember the size, so I'm very sorry. You're just gonna have to try it out. You do need somewhat of a comprehensive toolkit to unscrew this, but you can get them off of Amazon for like 15 bucks. I have a ton of them here. I don't know why I have so many sets. I just do. Leave me alone. Get off my back about it. So the hard drive's back in, and once that's done, we can give it a test. So I'll just leave that off, because whatever. Well, here's my head. You happy about that? Okay. And there we go. It is loading. And it's taking its sweet time. Come on now. You can do it. I'm just going to put this on. I never really like having things plugged in and uncovered and just kind of all these terminals and bare soldering points just kind of sticking out. And I'm just going to kind of set this with my thumb here. I'm sure. Okay. Hey, all right. Who's happy? I'm happy. Are you happy? All right. Good job, everyone.
Well, I've done all the testing I can. I don't have the password to get into it, but there's certain things you can do. Simple things. Hit shutdown from the sign-in screen. Restart. Hit sleep. Make sure you can get it out of all these different states. Do it plugged in. Unplug, stuff like that. And just make sure you're getting back to where you are. You'll have to reset your clock and stuff like that. Obviously, you have a brand new logic board and you have disconnected the battery from everything. So it's easy, right? Wasn't that difficult. You just have to take your time, use plastic tools, because those little connectors and terminals are very difficult to detach, and they're very, very easy to break. So you just have to take your time and be exceedingly careful. But other than that, you save yourself a ton of money versus taking it into Apple Care or whatever. Well, I guess if you have Apple Care, I think it's cheaper, but I think she told me that they wanted like $1,000 to look at it or whatever. They just said you know, the computer's not even worth that. I don't know if you saved any money versus going on eBay and buying the same model, even without a hard drive. Like if your hard drive is functioning and you know this, you can plug it into like a Linux computer and see the volume and make sure that it's responding. And you'll be able to know, or you can plug it in externally if you have a friend that has a Mac or whatever, you can do that. I don't have a Mac here, so I used Linux just to make sure that the hard drive was still functioning and responding to stuff. It's difficult to manipulate the APFS system now, their new file system from a different OS, but there is Fuse on Linux that you can use, so you can go through that. Maybe I'll make a video about doing that. That took me a while to be able to read the files. But that being said, it's not difficult. And if nothing else, if you're about to throw this thing in the trash, unscrew it and take a look at it. You're not going to hurt anything. You're not going to break it anymore, right? Just take your time and be methodical about it. And as far as the old Logic board goes, I'll probably put it up on eBay because these refurbishers and these like part stores will probably buy it for $50 and then sell it for $400, $500. So just be honest when you sell this shit. Don't sell it to someone else and go, I don't know what's wrong with it. It might work. Just fucking sell it and get a little bit of money back. Don't be a piece of shit about it. So, hey, thanks for watching. And as always, subscribe to the channel. I've got a lot more videos coming out. I know I always say that, but it's just, you know, editing's hard, guys. Come on, leave me alone. But I like these quick fix videos. So I hope you enjoyed yourself. I enjoyed myself. I learned something. I got to see inside a computer, and it looked beautiful, and I was happy. So I'll see you next time.
Hey, and seriously, thank you for watching once again. This was just another quick video. I had to repair something and I decided to make a video of it because I'm assuming this happens to a lot of people. So I hope you found it informative. And if you could, please subscribe to the channel. And I will see you next time here on Electromancer Tech Channel.